It began with a sound that didn't belong. A roar that cracked across the jungle like a wound opening in the world itself. Birds scattered in chaos. Monkeys screamed and vanished into the canopy. Even the wind seemed to retreat. Somewhere deep in the Sundarbans, the largest tiger reserve in the world, something had fallen from the sky. Local villagers claimed it was a meteorite. A flash of green fire streaked across the night sky before it vanished into the mangrove thickets with a distant, pulsing thud. For days, no one dared approach the impact zone. Not because of fear, but because of silence. The jungle, always full of life, had grown disturbingly still around that area. Then the tiger appeared. She was a Bengal tigress known to the rangers as Rakta, named for her violent tendencies. She was older than most, scarred and cunning. Rangers had observed her for years via camera traps, always hunting alone, never straying too far from her territory. But Rakta had changed. One ranger reported seeing her near the crash site, pacing in wide circles. She was foaming slightly at the mouth, and her belly was distended. That wasn't entirely unusual during pregnancy, except Rakta hadn't been near a male tiger for over a year. She had become agitated and would roar at shadows. Her fur started shedding in strange patches, and a glowing green film had appeared around her eyes. Concerned, the park's veterinary team decided to tranquilize and examine her. The team approached quietly with a drone and a dart gun. Rakta didn't run. She didn't fight. She just looked at them, unblinking as if seeing through time. When she collapsed from the sedative, they moved quickly, checking her vitals. Her pulse was strong, too strong. Her stomach swelled unnaturally beneath her ribcage, pulsating like a heartbeat that didn't match her own. They ran a scanner across her abdomen, and the screen blinked with an anomaly. 3 moving objects, none resembling tiger fetuses. Dr. Anaya Shah, the wildlife biologist on site, stared in disbelief. Those aren't cubs," she whispered. "What are they?" someone asked. She didn't answer. They tagged Rakta with a tracker and moved back. No one had the stomach to operate. Within 48 hours, Rakta was gone. The camera traps caught her limping deeper into the jungle, her belly dragging, her gait unnatural. Her eyes glowed like twin moons in the dark. Something inside her was growing. The sightings stopped for a week, until the screams began. A poacher's body was found torn in half, but not by claws or teeth. His torso had been split cleanly down the center, ribs cracked outward like flower petals. No tiger did that. A few miles from his remains, his partner was discovered clinging to a tree, mumbling nonsense. "The jungle's pregnant," he kept saying. "It's pregnant with stars." Then Rakta returned. But she was not alone. Drone footage showed her walking through a shallow marsh, her movements stiff and mechanical. Behind her, crawling through the mud, were 3 malformed creatures, vaguely feline in shape but with elongated limbs, translucent skin, and eyes like black pools of oil. Their spines jutted outward like serrated blades. One of them opened its mouth and released a sound that wasn't a roar. It was a chorus of whispers. "They're learning," Anaya said, watching the footage, her hands trembling. "They're watching us." The government ordered a quarantine of the area, classifying it as a biohazard zone. No one in, no one out. But that didn't stop the creatures. They moved through the forest at night, eerily coordinated, always near Rakta, always silent unless threatened. A military unit was sent to eliminate the threat. The jungle swallowed them whole. Their last transmission was brief. "We found the nest. It's inside her." Then static. Anaya couldn't sleep. She kept watching the footage over and over. She became obsessed with understanding what Rakta had become. She began having dreams of green stars falling into oceans of teeth. of Rakta staring through her window, even though she lived hundreds of miles away. "It's not an infection," she finally said. "It's an incubation. She's not the host. She's the mother." Desperate for answers, Anaya defied orders and returned to the quarantine zone with a small team. What they found was worse than imagined. Rakta was no longer a tiger. Her flesh had opened in places like natural armor. Her limbs were elongated. Her movements no longer feline but insect-like. Yet her eyes still held the remnants of pain. And beside her, in a clearing lit by bioluminescent fungus, were the creatures. No longer cubs, fully grown, taller than a man, quicker than any predator on Earth. Their mouths no longer whispered, they spoke. "You brought us here," one of them said, mimicking Anaya's voice. She froze. The air around her turned cold, though the jungle was humid. "We came through her to find the rest." That's when the trees moved. They weren't trees. They were more of them, at least a dozen. Pale, bone-thin shapes, their heads covered in what looked like transparent veils, hiding twitching mandibles underneath. The forest pulsed with green light. Anaya tried to run. One of her teammates screamed as something pierced his chest and yanked him upward. Another was dragged into the mud. Only Anaya made it back. She was found near the edge of the forest, dehydrated, raving. "She's not just giving birth," she said before slipping into unconsciousness. "She's building a gateway." The government sealed the entire region, burned sections of forest, and released a cover story about chemical spills and wildfires. But those close to the jungle know the truth hasn't been destroyed. They still hear Rakta's roars, lower, guttural, alien, echoing at night. Sometimes lights flash between the trees. Sometimes shadows move without wind. No one goes near the crash site anymore. And in the village closest to the forest, a young girl wakes up screaming each night. "She comes to me," the girl says. "The tiger with no skin." She says the stars are inside me now. In the sky above the Sundarbans, a second green light is spotted. Falling. But this time it's not alone.